Some of you may have seen my other video where I was arrested at the way station in Henderson, Kentucky. Yesterday I went to court in Henderson for the arraignment and ended up talking to a prosecutor. He wanted to cut a deal or whatever. I told him the only deal that I want is for the charges to be dropped because it's ridiculous. Well, long story short, we went round and round and round, and he got upset and said, basically, screw it, you can talk to the judge because I'm not doing nothing for you.
What's going on, guys? It's Disorderly Product News. That's my man Robert Cline, who got arrested because he was pulled over on an random inspection as he's a truck driver, and they wanted him to hop up in their rig and work the brakes, the turn signals, and he refused on the grounds that he doesn't have to be a party to his own prosecution. Now he's talking about his first court date, his arraignment, where the state's going to try and make a deal with him. It really is just another status hearing. The status hearing is when the state tries to give you a plea. Now, if you have a lawyer, your lawyer, more times than not, and in Robert's case, this is what would happen. The lawyer would have waived the reading of the charges. He would have pled not guilty. And obviously, if you're pleading not guilty, you're not making a deal with anybody. And they would made an oral presentation for discovery, which is for the state, or in this case, Kentucky, the Commonwealth, to hand over all of their evidence against Mr. Cline, even evidence that favors him. Now, we're about to see in his second court date. First, I want you guys, I'm gonna re-show you him being pulled over and his interaction with the police. I want you to tell me, because the prosecutor, he went into a room on his next court date, and he didn't have a lawyer, and the prosecutor said this: you would have had a case if you didn't do this. So we'll watch the video, and before I tell you, and it goes on to the next segment, tell me what the prosecutors saw that said if you didn't do this, you would have been fine. But now we can charge you with obstruction. Let's watch.
Hey, partner.
Oh. How you doing?
Pretty good. All right, real quick. Are you refusing inspection at this time?
No, I'm not.
Okay. So you're going to operate the brakes. You're going to operate the.
No, I'm not.
Okay. Then you are refusing.
I'm not refusing the break. I'm refusing.
No, all right, stop.
I'm not working.
All right, stop. By our training, and I'll tell you right now, I've already fought this battle once and won it. What you're telling me is because you're not going to assist him, you're refusing inspection.
Okay.
So here's your options. You can either jump up in there and work through the inspection, get it done, and get out of here, because it's called a random inspection. We don't have to have.
Did I do anything wrong to be pulled in?
You don't have to be. It's a random inspection.
Really? Do I not have rights?
You have. It's a compliance inspection.
I have rights as an individual of the United States.
You have the right as a commercial motor vehicle that when you're driving down the road, I have the right to stop you for a compliance inspection.
Okay.
All right. That's why you were stopped.
Do I have a legal responsibility to assist you in
yes,
that?
you do. Per the federal standards.
Federal standards, really?
Per the federal standards, how we were trained, yes.
I don't really, your training doesn't matter to me.
So there you go, guys. That's the video in which he got arrested because he would not aid the police officers in their investigation of him. Now, what in that video did you see that the prosecutor at the next court date's going to say, if you don't take this agreement, we're going to charge you with obstruction? Remember, he had 2 dogs in the car. Let's watch.
Because I've been saying I should make the video, and I've been kind of reluctant to for a while because things didn't kind of go my way when I went to court. And one of the reasons was that when I walked into the courtroom, it was supposed to be for a pre-trial meeting. What ended up happening was just like the arraignment. I get forced into a room with prosecutors. Unfortunately, I got met with a team of prosecutors. It wasn't just...
You're never forced into a room. The prosecutor's probably going to come up and tap you on the shoulder and just say, come on, as if it's a foregone conclusion that you're going to follow them. But you could easily say, listen, I'm not making any deals. Now, this is a little bit of a twist on this case. So listen, because this is a little bit different. But you're not forced in the room with anybody. Obviously, the pretrial hearing is to see if you're going to take a deal. The status hearing is to see if you're going to take a deal. That's all they want you to do. Until you get it through to them that you're not taking a deal, by no means, you can threaten me with whatever you want. I'm taking it to trial. Let's pick 12 jurors. That means let's pick 12 jurors.
Just one. It was multiple. And the first thing the guy said to me was, you might have had a case until you locked the door. I'm like, I don't understand why. What was the problem with locking the door? And he tried to tell me that because I locked the door, that was obstruction. Oh.
So there you go. He's brought into a tiny room with 3 prosecutors. He's by himself. I don't know why he didn't have a public defender, even if he didn't. Because I think they only charged him with a vehicle code violation. So he wasn't entitled to a lawyer, even though he was taken away in handcuffs. So he wasn't entitled to a public defender. So they bring him in there. There's 3 prosecutors plus the 2 officers. It's everybody versus you. And the prosecutor says you would have won if not for closing your door and locking it. Now it sounds like, oh man, I could have won. He must be telling me the truth because, damn, I had it. No, it's all a ploy. The prosecutor's not on your side. And I would have loved, but if I'm not an attorney. This is for entertainment purposes only. But let me explain to you one thing, or 2 things, actually 3 things. This is something every lawyer knows on their first day of law. I don't care if it's a tax lawyer, they know it. And not just prosecutors and criminal defendant lawyers. It is generally agreed that the essential ingredients of any crime are. So this is the definition of a crime. These are the 3 elements the Commonwealth would have needed to prove to convict him. And it's in Latin. So you know it's been around forever. The first one is actus reus. That is, did you do a voluntary act? Did you actually commit a crime? Push that one aside. You could do whatever you want with that one. The next one is mens rea, which is, it says right here, a certain state of mind. It really just means your intent. What was your intent? So if he's going to say that this guy locked his door when he was coming out of the cab, the officers never wanted to go into the cab. They wanted him to work the cab. I would have made the argument in court, in opening statements, anybody on the stand, and in closing statements that his dogs were in there. He travels the country. His whole livelihood is in that truck. Anytime he gets out, he locks it without thinking. It's subconscious. Everything he loves is in that truck. He's going to lock it every time he gets out of it. Just like a lot of us do every time we get out of our car, we lock it. It's just human nature to press the lock button. Okay, well, if that's the case, then the intent wasn't there. How are you going to prove intent? He did it subconsciously. It was a natural reaction. And unless they built some kind of machine to show what he was thinking at that time, then there's no way they can ever prove intent, if that's my argument. There's no way. What I want to become clear in this video is the state is not on your side. It's like being in an interrogation room with an officer. He's not on your side. That prosecutor's job, and the same reason why he got mad at the first court date when Mr. Cline wouldn't take a plea, is because his job is to get him to take a plea by all means necessary, because it will be gridlock if everybody takes it to trial. And then people start winning at trial and other people start seeing it. Now they're going to take theirs to trial. So that prosecutor's job, by all means necessary, is to make him take a plea. He uses psychology. He uses everything he can in the book to trick you to take a plea. Because he goes back to his boss and he didn't get a plea, he didn't do his job.
So I knew it wasn't, but it became apparent real fast that they were pretty serious about winning by any means. They didn't give a shit whether it was correct or not. And, you know, it's flat out, the Commonwealth of Kentucky is not interested in justice.
This is something I think people who go through the system for the first time find out. The prosecutor is not on your side. The state is not on your side. All they want you to do is take a plea. They're not going to say, hey, well, this guy wasn't guilty. Let's throw this case out. If that was the case, they would never bring the charges against you. That ship has sailed. They want to convict you. If they thought you weren't guilty, the charges would have been dropped. If they thought you weren't guilty, the charges would have been dropped. You would have never made it to court. Once you made it to court, that ship has sailed. It's over with. Their main job, their only job is to get a conviction. They're not going to go back and wait and say, hold on, he's not guilty. It's over. That part's done. It's like two teams making it to the Super Bowl and the one team saying they don't want to play because they know the other team's better than them. If you're serious about pleading not guilty, you need a lawyer.
They're interested in protecting themselves and getting money. So that was the first thing. And so we went round and round with it. I showed them the video. I think they had already seen the video anyway, so it didn't really matter.
Oh, I'm sure he saw the video. That's how I know you locked your door. You don't ever put what happened up on the internet until your case is over. All you're giving them is something to use against you. And I don't know if Mr. Cline put it up on the internet before his case started, but how else would they have seen his video? Unless they searched his phone without a warrant. Get a good enough lawyer and you'll have the state saying, what do we need to do to get rid of this case? What can we give you to get rid of this case?
But I had showed him the video and I asked the guy, I'm like, you really think you're going to get a conviction on this? And he's, you know, absolutely. You know, him and his buddies, they're all sitting there at a table. I got 3 prosecutors sitting in front of me. The cop and his way station stewed, you know, right behind me. And this guy's telling me that basically what I did was, you know, was obstruction. And long story short, I mean, we went around and around and I tried to, you know, I made some good points and whatnot, but what it boiled down to was that if I didn't take their plea that day, they were going to arrest me and charge me criminally with obstruction. My fault.
Okay, I told you I'm not guilty. I'm taking it to the limit. If you want to charge me with obstruction, we're in the right place anyways. I'm going in front of the judge in 10 minutes. I'll be out on bond in 11. Let's go. And by no means am I saying that Mr. Cline was wrong. He did what 99.9% of the population couldn't do. He stood up for himself at that station under the threat of arrest, losing his dogs. So here's the lesson. If you plan on pleading not guilty, you need a lawyer.
Because I didn't go in there with a lawyer. Had I gone in there with a lawyer that's a little bit more experienced in these things, I probably would have been able to, it would have been gone a lot better. But when you're faced with that situation, somebody's telling you they're going to charge you with a crime for absolutely nothing, it tends to freak you out a little bit, you know. I mean, it's like, I'm not going to trade a $200 infraction for a criminal record. That's kind of ridiculous and dumb. So I'm not going to do that. So I went ahead. What I did was I made an Alfred plea. An Alfred plea is essentially the same as no contest. I mean, I did admit guilt, but you know, I did admit that the Commonwealth of Kentucky was going to railroad me into a conviction one way or another.
So there you go. That's how it ends. He cops out to an Alfred plea. What an Alfred plea is, you're not admitting guilt, but you don't believe there's a chance in hell that you can win at trial. You're not guilty, but you know they're going to find you guilty. If you guys know James Gibson, a good friend of mine who spent 29 years in prison for a double homicide he did not commit, they came at him with multiple Alfred pleas. He's got a life sentence. If he just signs on the dotted line and throws away his right to file a petition of innocence, they'll let him out the front door right now. My man's got ice water in his veins. He turned it down and went back to his bunk and opened up his law book and kept studying.
Any idea he's ever getting out of prison? His co-defendant took it and ran. James, how hard was it to turn down those 5 deals and go right back to yourself?
It wasn't very hard to turn down 5 deals like that. I know people saying that it must have been hard and they can't understand it, but I just wasn't taking no shots, man. I wasn't taking no shots and I wasn't taking no deals. So,
but what about this, James? What if they never come back with another deal? What if you never get out?
Well, then that would have been the case. I felt that I'm a citizen of the United States. You know, I went to high school and graduated with honors. I passed the government, and I believe that this is the greatest country on earth. Even though we are in a pandemic, I still believe that this is the greatest country on earth. I believe that God has blessed our coast to coast, from the East Coast to the West Coast to the Gulf Coast, the United States.
So there you go, guys. That's the ending to Mr. Cline's story. The man who refused to get inside his cab and aid the police with their investigation against him. Write in the comment section what you think. Make no doubt about it, Mr. Cline stood up for his rights in a manner that most people wouldn't. My name's Disorderly Product News. Write in the comment section what you think about this video. It's very thought-provoking. A lot of things happening. I want to hear what you have to say. Again, I'm Disorderly Product News, wishing you and yours a very safe and happy work week. Good night.